Stillness does not make you weak. It makes you honest. Most people think clarity comes from effort, from pushing harder, thinking longer, trying to force an answer out of life. But some answers never come that way. The harder you chase them, the further they seem to move. Because truth does not always speak to a crowded mind. It does not rise through noise, panic, or pressure. It appears when the mind finally stops fighting itself. Not more pressure. That is not what you need. Not more speed. Not more self-correction. Not more endless analysis disguised as progress. Some answers do not appear when you push harder. They appear when you become still enough to notice them. Stillness is not emptiness. A quiet mind is not a dead mind. It is not passive. It is not lazy. It is not giving up. It means the storm inside you has stopped interrupting everything. It means your fear is no longer the loudest voice. It means you can finally hear what matters. The truth was never absent. You were just overwhelmed, buried under urgency, buried under expectation, buried under the belief that if you stop moving, everything will fall apart. But not everything needs to be forced. Some things need space. Some things need silence. Some things only come closer when you stop chasing them. Clarity is one of them. You do not need to solve every feeling the moment it arrives. You do not need to turn every uncertainty into a plan. You do not need to prove your worth by staying mentally exhausted. A restless mind can mistake movement for meaning. It can mistake anxiety for responsibility. It can mistake tension for seriousness. But pressure is not always wisdom, and overthinking is not always depth. Sometimes it is only fear wearing the clothes of discipline. Sometimes it is only pain trying to stay in control. Sometimes it is only the heart begging for safety in the only way it knows. That is why stillness feels difficult. Because when the noise fades, you meet yourself. Not the version performing strength. Not the version managing appearances. Not the version that always has something to say. Just you. And that meeting can feel uncomfortable at first, because silence removes excuses. It shows what you avoid, what you miss, what you already know but did not want to name. Stillness can be merciless, but it is also kind, because what it reveals is usually not there to destroy you. It is there to return you to yourself, to show you where you have been too harsh, where you have been too afraid, where you have been living against your own truth. Many people do not need more motivation. They need permission to stop forcing. They need permission to breathe without guilt. They need permission to admit that exhaustion is not virtue. They need permission to say, this pace is hurting me. And maybe you do too. Maybe your mind is not failing. Maybe it is only tired of being treated like a machine. Maybe your confusion is not weakness. Maybe it is what happens when your inner voice has been buried under too much noise for too long. A quiet mind does not mean an empty mind. It means the unnecessary noise has lost its power. It means your deeper knowing finally has room to rise. It means you stop reacting to every passing fear as if it were the truth. And when that happens, something changes. Your next step becomes simpler. Not always easier, but cleaner. Less performance, less panic, less trying to become someone else to deserve peace. You begin to see that clarity was never a reward for suffering. It was always waiting on the other side of enough quiet. So be still, not because life is easy, not because you suddenly have no pain, not because the world has become quiet. Be still because your soul deserves one place without pressure. Be still because wisdom rarely shouts. Be still because the answers you need may already be near. Be still long enough to hear the difference between fear and truth. Be still long enough to notice what keeps hurting you. Be still long enough to stop calling survival a way of life. Be still long enough to remember what peace feels like, and let the truth come closer